Once upon a time, in a lush green forest, where the trees grew tall and the flowers blossomed, there lived a little sparrow named Tweet. Tweet was a cheerful bird, full of curiosity and a love for adventures. He had bright, round eyes that gleamed with excitement every morning. One chilly autumn day, Tweet woke up feeling extra cold. His tiny nest in the highest branches of the oak tree wasn't keeping him warm anymore. So he decided to go on a little adventure, hoping to find a cozy home. Tweet fluttered his wings and off he went, soaring through the forest. As he flew over a babbling brook and beneath the thick canopy, Tweet saw all kinds of animals preparing for winter. "Oh dear, where can I find a warm shelter?" Tweet chirped to himself. As he swooped down near the edge of the forest, Tweet spotted an enormous creature. It was Ellie the elephant. Ellie was kind-hearted and always welcomed new friends. Her home was a large and cozy cave. Tweet cautiously landed nearby and said, "Hello Ellie, I'm Tweet. My nest is too chilly for me now, and I'm looking for a warmer place." Ellie looked at the tiny sparrow and smiled warmly. "Oh Tweet, you're welcome to stay with me for as long as you like. My home is big enough for the both of us." Tweet happily accepted the offer. He nestled down on a soft pillow made of leaves that Ellie had prepared just for him. "Wow, this is so comfy. Thank you, Ellie," Tweet chirped happily. As the days went by, Tweet and Ellie became great friends. They shared stories. Tweet told Ellie about all his flying adventures, while Ellie shared tales from the forest ground. The forest grew colder, but Tweet never felt chilly again. In Ellie's cozy cave, Tweet learned the simple joy of friendship, and how it was worth more than any fancy nest. And so, Tweet spent the winter with Ellie singing songs and keeping warm. He realized that sometimes, a home isn't just a place, but it's where your friends are. And whenever autumn came back around, Tweet knew exactly where to go. A cozy cave where laughter filled the air and warmth was found in friendship. Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by tall mountains and deep rivers, lived a little girl named Soso. Soso was a cheerful and adventurous child with a heart full of curiosity and eyes wide with wonder. One sunny morning, as Soso was playing in her garden, she noticed the trees swaying more than usual, and the leaves dancing wildly in the wind. "What a strong wind today," she thought to herself as she picked up her red kite. "Maybe it's a perfect day to fly my kite up to the clouds." With her kite in hand, Soso ran up the path to the top of the hill, where the wind was strongest. The sky was a brilliant blue, dotted with fluffy white clouds that looked like giant marshmallows. Soso could hardly wait to see her kite soar high. But as she reached the top, the wind suddenly became very fierce. It whistled around her like a mischievous fairy and tugged at her kite as if promising to lift it high into the sky. Soso held onto the string as tightly as she could, her feet barely staying on the ground. Suddenly, a big gust of wind swooshed by, and Soso's kite soared higher and higher until it disappeared behind the clouds. "Oh no!" Soso exclaimed, giggling nervously at the unexpected turn of events. Desperate to retrieve her kite, Soso embarked on a journey beyond the hill, into places she had never ventured before. As she walked, the wind whispered secrets in her ears and sang songs of adventure, guiding her deeper into the forest. Through twisting paths and magical glades, Soso met all sorts of whimsical creatures. She befriended a wise old owl who loved telling stories, a mischievous squirrel who played hide and seek, and even a rabbit who hopped around asking riddles. Finally, Soso reached a majestic clearing where the wind was calm, and there hung her kite, caught in the branches of a tall, ancient tree. With the creature's help, she learned how to carefully retrieve her kite without damaging its delicate frame. Triumphant, Soso returned home with stories to tell and lessons learned. She realized the strong winds had brought her more than just an adventure. It had introduced her to new friends and taught her the value of courage and curiosity. As she sat by her window that evening, watching the stars twinkle, Soso promised herself she'd always be brave enough to follow where the adventure winds took her. And so, every day became a new chapter full of wonder and joy, thanks to a little girl and the strong winds that carried her dreams high. Once upon a time, in a colorful land full of laughter and joy, there lived a little girl named Lulu. Lulu had the most peculiar wardrobe. You see, it wasn't just any regular wardrobe, it was magical. Every time Lulu opened the wardrobe, she would find the most wondrous outfits that not only looked fabulous but gave her special abilities. One sunny morning, Lulu woke up and decided it was a perfect day for adventure. She skipped over to her room and swung open the wardrobe doors. Inside, she spotted a glittering yellow raincoat and a sparkling pair of pink boots. Curious, she put them on, and instantly, she felt as if she could leap higher than a grasshopper. "Wow, this is amazing!" laughed Lulu, as she jumped around her room, almost touching the ceiling. Lulu was bursting with energy and wanted to test out her new jumping skills outside, so she decided to visit the old playground down the lane. As she arrived, she saw her friend Max staring at the tallest slide in the park. Max had always been a bit afraid of heights. Lulu waved excitedly. "Hi Max, check out what I can do." And with that, she jumped up onto the playground equipment. Effortlessly landing on top of the slide, Max watched in awe and said, "You're amazing, Lulu. How did you do that?" "It's my magical outfit," giggled Lulu, twirling around. "Can I try it?" asked Max eagerly. Lulu thought for a moment and replied, "Why don't we go back to my wardrobe? Maybe there's something magical for you too." Together, they raced back to Lulu's house and stood before the wardrobe. Lulu pushed open the doors and, to their surprise, they found a blue cape and a pair of silver sneakers waiting inside. Max excitedly put them on. As soon as he did, he felt a gust of wind beneath his feet. "I feel like I can run faster than a cheetah," exclaimed Max. With their new magical outfits, Lulu and Max spent the whole afternoon exploring everywhere, from the park to the hills, showing off their newfound abilities. When evening came, they returned the outfits back into the wardrobe, grateful for the day's adventures. And so Lulu and Max learned that magic isn't just in clothes, it's in friendship and the fun they can share together. They returned the wardrobe doors to normal, and decided to keep its magic a secret between them. As Lulu got ready for bed, she looked at her wardrobe and wondered what magical outfit tomorrow might bring. With a smile on her face, Lulu drifted into sleep, dreaming of her next grand adventure. Once upon a time, in a small, cozy village, there lived a young girl named Memo. Memo loved adventures more than anything else in the world. Her curiosity often led her to explore the wonders around her, whether it was climbing the tallest trees or splashing in the sparkling creek that ran through her village. One sunny afternoon, Memo found herself wandering through the attic of her family's old house. Dust danced in the beams of sunlight as she rummaged through boxes and crates that hadn't been opened in years. It was then that she stumbled upon an old photo album, its leather cover cracked with age. Oh, what stories might these pictures tell? Memo wondered, her eyes wide with excitement. Memo settled into a comfortable nook and carefully opened the album. Each page revealed family members from both the past and present. There was Grandma Lucy as a young girl, with bright pigtails and a mischievous grin. Uncle Jack in his favorite cowboy hat looked ready to jump into another adventure, just like Memo. But what caught Memo's attention the most was a picture of someone she'd never met, her great-grandmother Tess. In the photo, Tess held a small book and looked out at the camera with eyes that seemed to sparkle with stories yet untold. "I must learn more about her," Memo decided, and she sprang into action. Downstairs, Memo found her mother folding laundry. "Mom," Memo chirped, "can you tell me about Great-Grandma Tess? I found a picture of her in the attic." Her mother smiled warmly and sat down next to Memo. "Your great-grandma Tess was quite remarkable," she began. "She loved telling stories, and was known for writing the most wonderful tales from her adventures. She wasn't afraid of anything and always found joy in the simplest things. Memo's eyes shone with admiration. "Just like me," she exclaimed, giggling. Inspired by the legacy of her great-grandmother, Memo decided she would create her own photo album filled with her adventures. She grabbed her camera and set off into the village, determined to capture the magic of each corner, every smile, and all that made her world special. She snapped photos of the candy-colored flowers in Mrs. Brown's garden, the giggling children playing hopscotch in the square, and her own reflection in the creek where she loved to play. Weeks passed by, and Memo's photo album grew thick with memories. One evening, as she flipped through the pages of her album, she could see not only pictures but stories taking shape. Finally, Memo wrote down her favorite stories, just as her great-grandmother did, detailing her adventures in colorfully illustrated notebooks. As the stories came to life with her handmade sketches and vibrant words, Memo felt the same sparkle in her eyes that she had seen in Great-Grandma Tess' photo. For Memo, these stories were more than just tales. They were her way of remembering and sharing the warmth and wonder of the life she cherished with others. And so, the legacy of storytelling lived on, in the hands of little Memo, who carried the spirit of adventure in her heart, just like her great-grandmother Tess. And from that day forward, there was never a dull moment in Memo's world. Once upon a time, in a small town surrounded by towering trees and chirping birds, lived a little boy named Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo was known among his friends for being adventurous and curious about everything around him. One sunny morning, as Yo-Yo was playing in his backyard, he spotted something unusual. It was a bright red object lying near the tall grass. Curiosity sparked in his little eyes, and he dashed over to see what it was. To his surprise, it was a wet wipe, glistening under the sun like a hidden treasure. "What's this?" Yo-Yo wondered aloud. It didn't look like a toy or a snack, but it sure seemed interesting. Yo-Yo picked up the wet wipe and noticed how soft and squishy it was. "Maybe it's a magic cloth," thought Yo-Yo with excitement, letting his vivid imagination take the lead. He decided to keep the wet wipe and see just what wonders it could bring. Yo-Yo ran inside to show his new discovery to his mom. "Look, Mom, I found a magic cloth," he exclaimed. His mom chuckled. "Oh, Yo-Yo, that's not magic, it's a wet wipe. We use it to clean things. It's very handy, especially for little explorers like you who often get dirty." Yo-Yo listened closely to his mom, fascinated by the fact that a simple wet wipe could clean anything. An idea popped into his mind. "I'll clean my toys," he declared proudly. So off he went, wiping his toy cars, his dolls, and even his favorite dinosaur model with his newly discovered magic cloth. To Yo-Yo, watching dirt disappear was nothing short of magical. As he cleaned, Yo-Yo began to imagine different adventures. Each swipe of the wet wipe was like solving a mystery or completing a treasure hunt. He pretended he was a pirate cleaning gems, an astronaut dusting off moon rocks, and a detective wiping away fingerprints. With each toy he cleaned, Yo-Yo learned that sometimes the simplest things hold more magic. His curiosity grew, teaching him lessons hidden in everyday objects. In the end, Yo-Yo realized that magic didn't always have to sparkle and shine. It could also be found through exploring new ideas. And all it took was a wet wipe and a curious little boy's imagination. From that day forward, the wet wipe became Yo-Yo's trusty sidekick, always ready to help uncover the magic hidden in the ordinary. Once upon a time in the deep blue sea, there lived a very clever shark named Sam. Sam loved to swim fast and explore the wide ocean. He was known far and wide as Sam the Sly Shark, because he was always coming up with interesting ideas and plans. One sunny morning, while Sam was swimming around the coral reef, he noticed a little fish hiding behind a rock. The fish was shivering and looked very frightened. Being the curious shark that he was, Sam swam over to see what was wrong. "Hello there, little fish," said Sam with a friendly smile. "My name is Sam. Why do you look so scared?" The little fish, whose name was Finn, peeked out from behind the rock and hesitantly replied, "I am scared of the big predators that roam the ocean." Finn continued, "They chase me and my friends, and I don't know what to do." Sam thought for a moment. He understood how it felt to be scared. Despite being a shark, he had once been a small fry too, afraid of the bigger fish. But as he grew, he learned to use his cleverness to stay safe. "I have an idea," exclaimed Sam, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "How about I teach you some tricks to help you fool those pesky predators?" Finn's eyes widened in surprise and relief. "Oh, would you really do that? That would be wonderful." And so Sam dedicated the day to teaching Finn. He showed him how to blend in with the colorful corals, and how to swiftly dart through the kelp forests. Finn was a fast learner, and soon began to feel more confident about swimming in the big ocean. As the sun began to set, painting the sky and sea in shades of orange and pink, Sam and Finn sat on a rock, watching the glorious view. "Thank you so much, Sam," said Finn earnestly. "You're not only sly, but also very kind." Sam chuckled. "Anytime, little buddy. Always remember, being clever doesn't mean you're alone. It means you can find ways to make friends and protect them." From that day on, Finn swam happily around the reef, knowing he had the skills to handle tricky situations. And Sam, well, he continued to be the sly shark, but now with a friend who trusted him and shared his adventures. The end. Once upon a time, in a colorful tiny village surrounded by lush green fields, there lived a playful little panda named Nuno. Nuno was adored by all the children because of his fluffy fur and joyful antics. Every morning, he would run along the honey-colored path that led to the flower garden, his favorite spot. One sunny morning, as Nuno played hide and seek with the butterflies, he overheard the village children excitedly talking about something called nutritious milk. Intrigued and always curious, Nuno scurried over to see what the buzz was all about. "What's nutritious milk?" Nuno asked Sam, a friendly boy with freckles and bright eyes. Sam grinned. "It's milk that makes you strong and healthy. It has all the good stuff you need to grow." Nuno's round eyes widened with interest. "Really? How does it work?" Eva, a clever girl who wore her hair in pigtails, chimed in. "It has vitamins and calcium. There are proteins too. They all help us become tall and strong." Nuno scratched his furry chin with interest. "I want to be strong and healthy too. Where can I find this milk?" Sam chuckled. "Right here in our village. Farmer Joe sells the best nutritious milk from his happy cows. Would you like to come with us?" With eager excitement, Nuno skipped alongside Sam and Eva to Farmer Joe's farm. The farm was bustling with the soft mooing of cows and the cheerful clucking of chickens. In the center sat Farmer Joe, with a big straw hat casting a shadow over his warm smile. "Hello, young ones. What brings you here today?" Farmer Joe asked warmly. "We came for your famous nutritious milk," Sam exclaimed. Nuno nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, please, Farmer Joe. I want to become strong like a mighty bamboo tree." Farmer Joe chuckled and led them to a small barn filled with the freshest milk. "Here's a bottle for each of you. It's packed with goodness." The children and Nuno took sips of the creamy milk. Nuno felt a warm, tingly sensation as the milk gave him energy and made him imagine climbing the tallest tree in the village. After enjoying the milk, Nuno thanked Farmer Joe and promised to drink his favorite nutritious milk every day from then on. As they walked back to the village, Sam and Eva cheered, "To a strong and healthy future." And from that day, Nuno the playful panda became part of the village routine, always leading his friends to Farmer Joe for their daily dose of nutritious milk. With every sip, Nuno felt healthier and happier, bounding with energy and bursting with joy. The end. Once upon a time, In a lively forest full of talking animals and mysterious paths, there was a playful little monkey named Momo. Momo loved swinging from tree to tree, playing pranks on his friends, and exploring every corner of the jungle. One sunny morning, Momo woke up with boundless energy, ready for another day of adventure. As he roamed around, he stumbled upon a sparkling bicycle parked under the biggest mango tree. The bicycle belonged to Benny the bear, who was known for being a little clumsy. "Ooh, shiny!" Momo exclaimed, his eyes wide with excitement. He couldn't resist hopping on the bicycle to take it for a spin. But as soon as he settled on the seat, he felt something squishy and sticky. "You!" he squeaked, leaping off immediately. To his shock, the once cozy seat was now covered in a gooey mess made of fallen mangoes and berry juice. Momo's fur got all mucky, and he knew Benny wouldn't be pleased. Just then, Bella the butterfly fluttered by, noticing Momo's dilemma. "Oh no, what have you done, Momo?" she asked, giggling. "I didn't do it on purpose, Bella. It was an accident," Momo explained, looking at the sticky mess. Bella chuckled softly. "Well, we better clean it up before Benny finds out." Together, Momo and Bella brainstormed a plan. Bella gathered leaves while Momo fetched some water from the nearby stream. They worked as a team, scrubbing and wiping the seat until it was spotless again. Just as they finished, Benny the bear arrived, humming merrily. "Hello, friends," Benny greeted warmly. "Have you seen my bicycle? I wanted to go for a ride this afternoon." Momo, hiding his blush, replied, "Yes, Benny, it's right over here, all clean and ready for you." Benny grinned, unaware of the mishap, and thanked his friends. "Thank you, Momo and Bella. I knew I could count on you if I ever needed help." As Benny wobbled away on his bicycle, Bella whispered to Momo, "That was close. You have to be careful next time." "I will," Momo promised, but with a cheeky glint in his eye. But where's the fun without a little adventure? And so Momo learned his lesson. Even the gooeyest messes can be fixed with a little help from friends. The forest soon echoed with laughter as Momo swung back into the trees, searching for his next great escapade. Bobo had a shiny amber fur and twinkling eyes that sparkled like the morning dew. He loved to play and explore the forest from dawn till dusk. Bobo was not only adventurous but also loved making new friends. One sunny day, Bobo gathered all his courage and decided to visit the other animals in the forest. "I shall make a new friend today," he chirped excitedly to himself. As Bobo scampered through the trees, he saw Flora, the wise old owl, sitting atop her oak tree. "Oh, Flora, let's play hide and seek," Bobo squealed. "My dear Bobo," replied Flora in her deep, affectionate voice, "I appreciate your invitation, but I am in the midst of reading a very interesting book." Bobo was a little disappointed but nodded respectfully and scampered off. He knew Flora cherished her reading time. Next, Bobo spotted Toto, the clever tortoise, strolling through the grass. "Toto, shall we race each other to the watering hole?" Bobo suggested energetically. "I am flattered, Bobo," Toto replied with a smile. "But I promised Mrs. Tortoise to help her with some chores. Maybe another time?" "Of course, Toto," said Bobo with a cheerful wave. Although he felt a tad lonely, he understood the importance of keeping promises. Determined to find a playmate, Bobo dashed further into the forest until he found Frisky, the lively bunny, munching on some carrots. "Frisky, want to explore the hidden caves with me?" Frisky twitched his long ears and replied, "That sounds fun, Bobo, but I must finish my lunch first. I promised my little siblings to share this meal with them." Bobo nodded his head politely. "I understand, Frisky. Family is important." And off Frisky hopped. Although Bobo had not found a friend to play with right away, he felt content in his heart. He had learned that by respecting the wishes and time of his friends, he nurtured true friendship. Later that afternoon, Bobo sat beneath a grand maple tree, enjoying a fresh acorn snack. Suddenly, Flora flew down to him and said, "How about a game now, dear Bobo?" Toto joined them shortly and offered, "Let's have a stroll together to the watering hole. It'll be refreshing." Frisky hopped by with a bunch of carrots. "Look what I've brought. Let's have a picnic near the hidden caves." Bobo's heart was filled with joy as he realized that respecting others was the key to building strong friendships. They all spent the rest of the day laughing, playing, and sharing stories. And so, the forest of whistling pines echoed with the merry chattering of friends who knew the value of respect and care for one another. The end. Once upon a time, in a cheerful little village nestled in the heart of the forest, there lived a small, fluffy rabbit named Nuno. Nuno had fur as white as snow and the most curious pair of blue eyes you've ever seen. Every morning, Nuno would hop out of his cozy burrow to greet the new day. He loved the warm rays of sunshine that filtered through the tall trees and illuminated his favorite meadow. Nuno noticed that the sunlight made everything glow and sparkle. The leaves shimmered like emeralds, the rippling stream looked like a ribbon of diamonds, and the flowers danced with colors as bright as rainbow candies. One fine sunny morning, as Nuno hopped along his usual trail, he met a wise old owl perched on a mighty oak tree. "Good morning, Mr. Owl," Nuno chirped. "Isn't the sun shining beautifully today?" "Indeed, little Nuno," the wise owl responded with a slow nod. "Did you know that the sun's rays are magical? They help plants grow and make the world a brighter place. Would you like to learn more about their magic?" "Oh yes, please," Nuno exclaimed excitedly, bunny ears perked up in interest. So Mr. Owl began his tale. He explained how the sun's rays travel millions of miles from the sun itself to reach Earth. They bring warmth and energy which plants use to make their food in a process called photosynthesis. Without these rays, the world would be a cold and barren place, and nothing would grow. Nuno listened intently, fascinated by the idea that sunlight carried secrets of life. "Wow, Mr. Owl," he said in awe. "I never knew the sun was so powerful. I thought it was just making everything look pretty." "Ah, but making things pretty is part of its charm, isn't it?" chuckled Mr. Owl. "You see, the sun also paints the sky in colors during sunrise and sunset, making every day a story of its own." Inspired by Mr. Owl's wisdom, Nuno spent his days spreading the joy of sunshine. He invited other forest animals to join him in the meadow, where he shared stories of the magical rays and their hidden talents. Soon, Nuno became known as the little rabbit who loved the sun, and the meadow became a gathering place for animal friends every morning. And so, in the forest where Nuno lived, life flourished under the tender and generous gaze of the sun, forever cherished by Nuno and his friends. In a lovely day, Fufu the elephant was playing happily in the garden. He was chasing the ball, tossing it high, and laughing with joy. His mother called him from the window and said, "Fufu, come let's have lunch, my dear." Fufu replied as he kept running, "In a little bit, Mom. I'm still playing." His mother gently said, "Come eat, then you can go back to play." But Fufu shook his head and said, "No, I'll play first." Time passed, and the sun began to set. Suddenly, Fufu felt hungry. He stopped playing and rushed to the house. He opened the door and said, "I'm hungry. Where's lunch?" But on the dining table, the food had already turned cold, and the plates were almost empty. Everyone had finished eating. Fufu felt sad and said, "Why didn't anyone wait for me?" His mother approached him kindly and said, "Dear Fufu, food is a blessing, and we must respect its time." Fufu lowered his head and said, "I'm sorry, Mom. I won't be late again." And the next day, before his mother even called him, Fufu was the first to sit at the table. And he said with a smile, "I'm ready. Food waits for no one." On a beautiful morning, little Nuno went to the store to buy some supplies. He carefully placed a bottle of oil inside his shopping bag. He then smiled and ran outside to play as if nothing had happened. A little while later, Fufu came into the kitchen looking for some bananas. Suddenly, that little drop of oil made him slip. He fell on the floor and cried in pain. "Ouch! My foot!" Nuno and the little bird Zizo heard him from the garden. They rushed inside to help him stand up. Then they all went together to the nearest medical center. The doctor examined Fufu's foot and said, "Don't worry, it's not broken. It's just a slight bruise." Nuno felt ashamed and came forward saying, "I'm sorry, Fufu. I thought a small drop wouldn't hurt." Fufu smiled gently and patted him on the head, saying, "I forgive you, but remember, every small action can change something big." From that day on, Nuno became much more careful, wiping up anything that spilled on the ground without delay. Once upon a time, in a faraway land that glimmered under the starry night, there was a mystical kingdom called Dreamland. Dreamland was a magical place populated by colorful, gentle creatures who thrived on hopes and dreams. In this wondrous place, anything imagined could come to life, and everyone had a special role to play. Among the inhabitants of Dreamland were Diddle the Dreamer, a small, curious creature with big, bright eyes, and Flo the Flutter, who had the most beautiful, iridescent wings that sparkled with dreams. Diddle loved exploring Dreamland to uncover all of its magical secrets, while Flo fluttered around spreading dreams to everyone she met. One day, Diddle was wandering through the enchanted forest when he found a peculiar shimmering stone. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Picking it up, he sensed a soft humming and swirls of light. Flo, come look at this!" Diddle shouted excitedly. Flo fluttered over and gasped. "Oh, Diddle, this is the Heartstone of Dreams. It's said to contain the purest dreams and the power to grant wishes to those who truly believe in their heart." Flo's wings sparkled even brighter with excitement. Diddle tucked the Heartstone into his pocket. "We must protect this stone," he said seriously, "because if it falls into the wrong hands, Dreamland will lose all magic and wonder." Together, Diddle and Flo ventured through fields of floating clouds and rivers of shimmering stardust. As they journeyed, they discovered new friends and allies like Glimmer the Glowbug, who helped light their path, and Snuzzle the Snug Turtle, who provided them shelter under his cozy shell. But not everyone in Dreamland had kind intentions. A shadowy figure known as Grim was lurking around. Grim was jealous of Dreamland's magic, and he wanted the Heartstone for himself to control all the dreams. One night, Grim sneaked into the enchanted forest, tracking the duo. He approached them under the cover of darkness. "Give me the Heartstone," Grim hissed, "or I'll turn Dreamland into a land of nightmares." Flo and Diddle stood bravely together. "You cannot take our dreams, Grim," said Flo, her wings glowing fiercely. "We will protect Dreamland with all our heart and magic." Suddenly, Glimmer appeared, casting bright light on Grim, and Snuzzle emerged to shield them. And then, unexpectedly, the Heartstone began to glow brilliantly in Diddle's pocket, responding to their courage and unity. Dreamland's magic surged, transforming Grim's shadows into sparkles of dreams. The dark mist lifted, revealing Grim's hidden hope. "I'm sorry," Grim murmured, looking around at the kindness and friendship surrounding him. With the Heartstone glowing warmly, Diddle and Flo saw an opportunity to include Grim in their circle. "Dreams are for everyone," Diddle said, offering Grim a chance to learn and share. And so, the days in Dreamland continued to shimmer with shared dreams, laughter, and endless magic. Together, its creatures learned that the true heart of dreams lay in kindness, bravery, and the belief that dreams could come true for all who believed in them. From that day on, Dreamland was a place where dreams lived happily ever after, in the hearts of those who dared to dream. Once upon a time, in a peaceful village named Earthyville, everyone went about their daily lives with smiles and bliss. People baked bread, sang songs, and danced with the birds. One day, the ground shook and lights flickered. Friend Billy the brave and adventurous squirrel shouted, "It's an earthquake!" But nobody knew what to do. Billy remembered wise old owl Ollie, who lived atop the tallest tree. He quickly scampered up and found Ollie perched calmly looking down. Ollie hooted gently, "Billy, gather everyone and listen carefully. Here's what to do during an earthquake." Billy nodded with understanding and raced back to the village. As the villagers gathered nervously, Billy climbed onto a rock and began sharing Ollie's wisdom. First, Billy instructed, "Stay calm. Panicking does not help." Second, he continued, "Drop cover and hold on. Find a sturdy table or piece of furniture. Get on your knees, cover your head, and hold on to something solid." The villagers listened closely, their fears easing with each word Billy shared. Third, if you're outside, Billy chirped, find an open space away from buildings, trees, and power lines. Little Sarah, the sparrow, fluttered her wings nervously, asking, "What if we're near water, Billy?" Billy nodded wisely. "Avoid waterways, Sarah, as they might flood. Move to higher ground." Finally, Billy said, "Once the shaking stops, check if anyone needs help and be careful of falling debris. Communicate with each other and ensure you're safe." The villagers thanked Billy with cheers of joy, their hearts filled with courage. As the ground lined with cracks settled once again, everyone remembered Ollie's advice thanks to Billy. They felt prepared, no longer fearing the invisible power of the earth. Billy the brave and Ollie the wise became heroes, sharing their wisdom far and wide. From that day on, Earthyville was a place where knowledge turned fear into bravery, filling every day with song and dance once more. On a warm morning, Fufu's mother was cleaning the house when she found many toys scattered everywhere. She smiled and said, "Fufu, do you play with all these toys?" Fufu shook his head and said, "No, I don't need some of them anymore." His mother thought for a moment and then said, "How about we start a new project? We'll call it the Blessing Box." Fufu asked excitedly, "What is the Blessing Box?" His mother replied, "It's a box where we put everything we don't use, toys, books, clean clothes. Then we give it to children who need them." Fufu was delighted with the idea, and began to gather his old toys with enthusiasm. "This car I don't play with anymore. This ball is too small for me. And this shirt I haven't worn in ages." Fufu filled the box, decorated it with colored paper, and drew a big heart on it. Then he went with his mother to deliver it to a children's center. When the children saw the toys, they jumped with joy. One of them ran to Fufu and said, "Thank you. I never had a toy car before." Fufu felt a great happiness and said, "A blessing shared is a blessing that grows." Once upon a time, in a bustling village named Wheatland, where the sun tickled the golden fields to grow the most delicious wheat, lived a clever little fox named Coco. Coco loved sneaking around the village, chatting with the chickens and playing tricks with the squirrels. Coco was known for her bushy tail and twinkling eyes that never missed anything. One sunny morning, as she tiptoed past Mrs. Hen's coop, she overheard a commotion. Coco's ears perked up. Wasted bread? That sounded like an adventure in the making. She decided to investigate. She scampered to the village bakery, where she found Mr. Baker looking very tired. "Good morning, Mr. Baker. Why is there so much bread wasted?" Mr. Baker sighed deeply. Coco scratched her head with her furry paw, pondering how to save all that delicious bread. An idea sparked and danced in her eyes like stars. The next day, Coco gathered all the animals of Wheatland under the huge oak tree for a meeting. The plan was simple but brilliant. Every evening, Coco would collect the leftover bread from Mr. Baker's shop and distribute it among the animals. They would make crunchy croutons, sweetbread pudding, and even breadcrumbs for their favorite stews. "Not only will we prevent waste, but we'll have delicious treats to share. With Coco in charge, the animals rallied together. Each evening, Coco and her friends transformed the leftover bread into amazing dishes. The village animals feasted happily without waste, and Coco became the hero of Wheatland. And so, Coco's clever plan taught everyone the importance of food and how little efforts can make a big difference. Ever since, no bread was ever wasted in Wheatland again, and Mr. Baker was always smiling. Coco's twinkling eyes and bushy tail could often be seen darting around the village for more adventures, always aiming to make life in Wheatland a little bit better. In the kingdom of animals, where the trees were dense and the greenery was more than usual, lived a little monkey named Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo was active and playful, running and playing everywhere. One day, while swinging on the branches of the trees, Yo-Yo saw something strange. There was a new house being built near his favorite play area. It was a beautiful wooden house with bright colors. Yo-Yo felt a strong curiosity. He wondered, who will be our new neighbor? The next day, Yo-Yo woke up early and decided to go discover who lived in this new house. He jumped and moved quickly between the trees until he reached the place. When he looked through the window, he saw a creature he had never seen before. It was a small fox with orange and white fur, gathering some items and arranging them. Yo-Yo hesitated a little, but he decided to introduce himself. He gently knocked on the door, and when the fox opened it, Yo-Yo smiled and said, "Hello, I'm Yo-Yo, I live nearby, and welcome to the neighborhood." The fox replied with a smile, "My name is Pepper, and I'm very happy to be here. I just moved in and I love to meet new friends." Yo-Yo suggested showing Pepper around the neighborhood and going on a tour to discover the beautiful places. Pepper happily agreed. During their tour, they passed by a slightly dark cave, and Yo-Yo said, "This cave is my home when I want to escape from the sun." And he laughed. They approached a small river and Pepper said, "This river looks wonderful. We can both swim in it on hot days." Yo-Yo felt happy because he had found a new friend, and the two decided to play near the river and explore the area. Thus, a beautiful friendship blossomed between Yo-Yo and Pepper. They played every day and discovered new things in the forests of the kingdom, creating wonderful memories together. Yo-Yo knew that his new neighbor would be a reason for new happiness, and he realized that curiosity could be the beginning of beautiful things.
Eid al-Adha is a special festival celebrated by Muslims all around the world. It's a time full of joy, sharing, and showing kindness to others. Let's learn about what happens during this festival in a way that's easy to understand. 1. The reason for the celebration. Eid al-Adha is celebrated to remember the story of a prophet named Ibrahim who was ready to sacrifice his son Ismail because God asked him to. But God sent a big ram to be sacrificed instead. This teaches us about faith and obedience. 2. The sacrifice. On this day, Muslims sacrifice animals like sheep, goats, cows, or camels. They share the meat with the poor, relatives, and friends. This is a way to be generous and help those who don't have enough. 3. The prayer. The day starts with a special prayer at the mosque or an open field. Muslims come together to pray and listen to a sermon. It's a time to express gratitude and unity. 4. The takbir. Muslims say special phrases called the takbir as they go to prayer and at home. They say, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, which means God is great, there is no God but Allah. 5. Visiting and sharing. After the prayer, Muslims visit their family and friends. They greet each other with joy and send best wishes. They also share the meat from the sacrifice with those in need. 6. The celebration. Eid al-Adha is also about having fun. Families spend time together, enjoy delicious foods, and celebrate the day with happy hearts. It's important for children to learn the values of sacrifice, giving, and sharing during Eid al-Adha. Understanding this festival helps everyone celebrate the joy of helping others and being kind.
Once upon a time, in a lush and vibrant jungle, there lived a big, friendly elephant named Ellie. Ellie was known for her gentle heart and her big floppy ears. She loved spending time with her jungle friends, playing games and sharing stories. One sunny morning, Ellie was wandering through the jungle when she heard a soft, worried voice calling out to her. "Help! Help!" said the voice. Ellie turned around, and there she saw Trudy, the tiny turtle, stuck upside down on a rock. Trudy's little legs were waving in the air, desperately trying to turn herself over, but she just couldn't manage it. "Oh dear," said Ellie gently. "Don't worry, Trudy. I'll help you." With great care, Ellie used her trunk to gently nudge Trudy back onto her feet. Trudy let out a sigh of relief and thanked Ellie warmly. "Thank you so much, Ellie," Trudy said, blushing slightly. "I was really scared I'd be stuck there forever." Ellie gave Trudy a kindly smile. "Anytime, Trudy. After all, that's what friends are for." As they walked through the jungle together, they came across a babbling brook. Trudy, who loved water, decided to take a little swim. "Join me, Ellie," Trudy called out, splashing playfully. Ellie chuckled and dipped her toes in the cool, refreshing water. The two friends played in the brook, laughing and splashing until the sun began to set. As they sat on the bank, enjoying the orange and pink hues of the sky, Trudy spoke up. "You know, Ellie, even though I'm small, if you ever need my help, I'll be there for you too." Ellie smiled widely at her little friend. "I know, Trudy, you might be small, but your heart is as big as any elephant's." And so, in the heart of the jungle, a special friendship between a mighty elephant and a tiny turtle grew stronger. They learned that no matter your size, a helping hand was always precious. The jungle creatures all learned from Ellie and Trudy's friendship and remembered that kindness always makes a brighter day. In a lively and green farm, where the sun kissed the hills, there lived a curious little chick named Chicky. Chicky, unlike his brothers and sisters, had big dreams and an even bigger imagination. But oh, how Chicky loved to tell tales. He would often make up stories so wild and colorful that the other animals in the farm would gather around just to hear him speak. One day, Chicky saw a shiny new bike at the edge of the farm. He had never seen anything like that before. "Oh wow!" he exclaimed with sparkling eyes. He couldn't wait to tell his farm friends about this extraordinary discovery. Chicky ran as fast as his little legs could carry him to the barn. "Guess what I saw today?" he chirped excitedly. "I saw the farmer riding a bicycle that had wings and flew up high in the sky." His friends, including Penny the pig, Mumu the cow, and Baba the sheep, gathered around. "Really? A flying bicycle?" asked Penny, her eyes wide with wonder. "Absolutely," said Chicky with a confident nod. "It had big shiny wings like an eagle and zoomed right over the farmhouse." The farm was buzzing with excitement. It wasn't every day you heard about flying bicycles. But Gogo the wise goat frowned thoughtfully. "Chicky, are you sure that's true?" Chicky puffed up his chest. "Of course. Would I ever lie to you all?" The next day, Chicky noticed that everyone was still talking about the marvelous flying bicycle. "This is fun," he thought. "What else can I come up with?" Chicky's stories grew more fantastic as he told everyone about a tractor that danced and horses that painted beautiful pictures. However, soon enough, trouble came sneaking in. Farmer Brown heard the tales, and while he chuckled at the creativity, he decided to have a word with Chicky. "Chicky," Farmer Brown said gently, "stories can be fun, but it's important to know the difference between imagination and truth. Your friends might get confused and not know when to believe you." Chicky scratched his tiny head. He didn't want his friends to think he was a liar. "I just wanted to make everyone smile," he said softly. Farmer Brown smiled warmly. "And you do, Chicky. Just remember, it's okay to dream big, but it's also okay to tell the truth." Chicky thought hard about Farmer Brown's words. The next day, he gathered all his friends. With a shy smile, he admitted, "I might have added some extra feathers to my stories. There might not be a flying bicycle or dancing tractors after all." Penny, Mumu, and Baba giggled. "We knew it sounded a bit too wild," said Baba with a wink. Gogo nodded approvingly. It's good to dream, but it's even better to be honest, Chicky." From that day on, Chicky decided to use his imagination to create stories in the evenings for everyone to enjoy. Always making sure to end with, "And that's a story from Chicky's dreamland." So his friends knew which parts were true and which were just for fun. Chicky learned the value of honesty, and the farm was happier than ever with his wonderful tales. Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by tall mountains and blue rivers, there was a little panda named Coco. Coco was a cheerful panda who loved going to school and learning new things every day. One sunny morning, as Coco was getting ready for school, he noticed something strange. His school bag felt much heavier than usual. "Oh no, how will I carry my bag to school today?" Coco wondered. He tried lifting it again, but it was too heavy. Just then, Coco's best friend, Lala the squirrel, came hopping by. She noticed Coco struggling with his bag and chirped, "Why don't you let me help you, Coco?" "Thank you, Lala," said Coco, "but I'm not sure how we can carry it together." Lala thought for a moment, and then had a brilliant idea. "Let's use my wagon," she exclaimed. So Lala ran to her treehouse and quickly brought her little red wagon. Together, Coco and Lala managed to place the heavy bag inside the wagon, and they started their journey to school. As they walked, they sang cheerful songs, laughing and talking about the day ahead. When they reached the school, their teacher, Mr. Owl, noticed the wagon and Coco's heavy bag. Everyone, including Mr. Owl, laughed, and Coco couldn't help but giggle too. "No wonder it was so heavy," he said. From that day on, Coco learned to check his bag every morning to make sure it wasn't too heavy. He also learned that good friends like Lala could make any journey fun and easy. And so Coco and his friends happily continued their adventure every day, learning, growing, and sharing fun stories together in their little village. Once upon a time, in the sunny town of Blossomville, there lived a little boy named Tommy. Tommy was known for his mischievous nature and adventurous spirit. He was always curious and loved exploring his neighborhood. From climbing the tallest trees to fishing in the tiny pond, Tommy had done it all. One bright summer afternoon, Tommy was playing in his backyard. His mother, Mrs. Green, was busy watering the flowers. Suddenly, Tommy's eyes caught sight of a shiny object glimmering in the grass. It looked like a coin, and Tommy's imagination immediately started spinning tales of pirate treasures. "Look, Mom!" shouted Tommy. Running towards Mrs. Green, Tommy exclaimed, "I found a treasure." Mrs. Green chuckled and said, "Well, you really are a little explorer, aren't you, Tommy?" But when she looked closer, she noticed it was just a bottle cap. It wasn't a treasure, but Tommy didn't want to admit it. "I'm going to find more treasures," Tommy said excitedly, rushing away. Tommy spent the whole afternoon collecting more treasures, which were merely scraps. He found half a broken spoon, a rusty nail, and what he thought was a precious gemstone. Actually just a piece of glass. When it was time for dinner, Tommy's mom called him inside. Instead of coming in immediately, Tommy whispered to himself, "Just one more treasure." And that's when he found a shiny button hidden under the bush. Radiant with joy, Tommy rushed to his mother. Tommy declared, "Mom, I found the rarest jewel of them all." "Oh really, Tommy? What have you got there?" his mother asked, playing along. "It's a magical button with special powers," Tommy exclaimed. Mrs. Green, understanding her son's playful spirit, decided to play along. "Why don't you wash it up and bring it to the dinner table? Maybe it'll bring some extra magic to our food tonight." Tommy ran to the sink, washed his button carefully, and placed it next to his plate during dinner. Throughout the meal, he kept glancing at it, imagining the button's magical powers adding flavor to his food. After dinner, while helping his mom in the kitchen, Tommy finally admitted, "Mom, it wasn't really a jewel, it was just a button. I made it up." Mrs. Green smiled gently and said, "You know, it's okay to use your imagination, Tommy, but sometimes it's important to be honest too." Tommy nodded, understanding that while adventures and stories can be magical, honesty is a treasure in itself. That night, as Tommy tucked himself into bed, he looked at the button shining under his lamp and whispered, "You might not be magical, but you sure helped me learn something today." And from that day forward, Tommy continued his adventures, always with a heart full of tales and a mind that knew the value of truth. Once upon a time, in a colorful forest where fruits and vegetables grew as big as balloons, lived a little squirrel named Nono. Nono was known for his bushy tail and bright beady eyes. He loved hopping around from one tree to another, nibbling on all sorts of treats he found. Nono's favorite snack used to be crunchy sweets and syrupy nuts. "Yummy!" he'd shout every time he found something sugary. But one day, his friend, Berta the wise owl, noticed that Nono looked tired and sluggish. "Nono," cooed Berta with a tilt of her head, "you seem less energetic than usual. Have you been eating too many sugary snacks?" Nono nodded sheepishly. "I love sweets so much. But you're right, I have been feeling slow lately." Berta flapped her wings gracefully and twinkled her eyes. "Have you tried some healthy snacks? There's an endless buffet in this forest if you know where to look." Curious, Nono listened intently as Berta spoke about the wonders of healthy eating. She talked about juicy apples, crunchy carrots, and the vibrant berries that were bursting with flavor. The next morning, Nono decided to explore the healthy side of the forest he hadn't visited before. His first stop was the apple orchard. He sank his teeth into a shiny red apple, and his eyes twinkled with delight. "Wow, this is sweet and refreshing," Nono exclaimed, feeling a buzz of energy. He continued his adventure, sampling carrots that snapped in his mouth with a satisfying crunch and nibbling on berries that painted his tongue with splendid colors. Every day, Nono tried something new and exciting. He felt stronger and more lively than ever before. With each healthy snack, his bushy tail wagged a little bit faster, and his jumps grew higher. Watching him, Berta the owl couldn't help but smile. "Nono, you are glowing with energy. Seems like the healthy snacks are helping." Nono chuckled and danced around the forest. "I never knew healthy foods could be so delicious. Thank you, Berta, for showing me the way." And so, Nono spread the word in the forest. From then on, Nono and his friends enjoyed a balanced diet filled with fruits and vegetables. The colorful forest flourished even more with the happy, healthy animals prancing around. The forest was not only a place of beauty, but also a lively home for creatures who knew the joy and strength that came from eating well. And Nono, with his sparkling eyes and bouncing steps, became the ambassador of healthy eating in the forest. Once upon a time, in the sunny village of Feather Grove, there lived a clever rooster named Coco. Coco was orange with a shiny green tail, and he was known for his curious nature. Every day, he would roam around the barnyard, pecking at seeds and pondering life's mysteries with his fellow animals. One warm afternoon, Coco noticed something peculiar while sipping water from the little stream that ran through the farm. The water, usually gushing and sparkling, seemed less lively. Worried, Coco decided to find out what was happening. "Oh dear," Coco clucked to himself as he scratched his head. "I must figure out why the stream is so shy today." Determined to solve the mystery, he marched over to his best friend, Daisy the duck, who was waddling by the pond. "Daisy," Coco called, flapping his wings, "the stream is running low today. Do you know why?" Daisy quacked thoughtfully. "I've noticed that. The farmer's been using lots of water to wash his tractor and water the big fields. Maybe the stream's getting tired." Coco tapped his beak. We should teach everyone to use water wisely. If we don't change our ways, our lovely stream might dry out." With the plan in mind, Coco and Daisy gathered all the animals under the shady oak tree. "Friends," Coco addressed them, "we need to help the farmer learn about saving water. It's important if we want our stream to stay happy and strong." The animals nodded, murmuring agreeably. Coco's idea was simple. Each animal would talk to the farmer and show him ways to use water responsibly. Benny the wise pig suggested, "Let's tell the farmer to collect rainwater in barrels for washing his tractor." Lola the lively lamb chimed in, "And maybe he could water the fields early in the morning or late in the evening, so the sun won't drink all the water first." The animals decided to visit the farmer one by one. Coco went first, proudly strutting up to the farmer with Daisy by his side. The farmer was surprised, seeing the brave duo approach with a determined look in their eyes. "Well, now what do we have here?" he chuckled. With a confident crow, Coco shared their ideas with the farmer. He explained how saving water could keep the stream burbling happily. The farmer nodded, smiling at the clever suggestions. "What a bright bunch you are," he said. "I'll definitely try out these water-saving tips." True to his word, the farmer started collecting rainwater in barrels, and soon, the fields were watered in the cool of morning. The stream seemed to regain its sparkle, dancing merrily under the sun once more. Coco was delighted, and so were the other animals. They cheered their success, knowing they had helped their home thrive with their efforts to save water. From that day onwards, Feather Grove became a place where water was cherished, and Coco the rooster learned an important lesson. Every drop counts when it comes to saving water. And so, the animals lived happily ever after, with the stream singing its watery melody each day, all thanks to Coco's curiosity and the village's teamwork. Once upon a time in a bustling jungle, there lived a small tiger named Tiny Tony. Tony wasn't like other tigers. He was not ferocious or fierce. He was friendly, fun-loving, and full of curiosity. He loved exploring new things and making new friends. But there was one thing he had never seen: the magnificent sea. One sunny morning, Tony decided it was time for an adventure. He wanted to see the big blue sea. He packed a small bag with his favorite snacks, fresh mangoes and crispy leaves, and set off on his journey. His first stop was at his best friend Ella the elephant's pond. Ella was splashing around, enjoying her bath. "Hi, Ella. I'm going to see the sea," Tony announced excitedly. "The sea? How exciting!" Ella trumpeted. "It sounds wonderful. Be sure to tell me all about it when you return." Tony promised he would. As he continued his journey, he met Georgie the giraffe munching on tall, juicy leaves from the treetops. "Hey Tony, where are you off to?" Georgie asked, curiously craning his neck. "I'm going to see the sea," replied Tony, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Wow, the sea is huge and marvelous, I've heard," Georgie exclaimed. "Enjoy your adventure." After a long walk through the jungle and crossing little streams, Tony finally reached the edge of his world. The jungle met the sandy beach. It was here that he stood in awe as he saw the vast, shimmering sea stretching out before him. Waves crashed playfully on the shore, and the breeze tickled his whiskers. "Hello, sea," Tony called out, feeling the sand under his paws for the first time. "You are even more beautiful than I imagined." Tony spent the day playing on the beach, chasing crabs, and building sandcastles. He dipped his paws in the cool water and giggled as the waves tickled them. He watched colorful fish dart around in the shallows. He marveled at the pretty seashells scattered on the sand. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with pink and orange hues, Tony sat down on the warm sand, feeling content and grateful for his wonderful adventure. He realized that the sea was everything he had hoped for and more. With the stars twinkling overhead, Tiny Tony headed back to the jungle, eager to share his tales with Ella, Georgie, and all his friends. And as he walked, he knew this would be just the first of many adventures, with lots more wonders waiting for him out in the wide, wide world. And from that day on, Tony told stories of the sea to anyone who would listen, always encouraging his jungle friends to be curious and explore just as he had. For Tiny Tony the tiger, the world was full of fascinating things just waiting to be discovered.